Now at 6, children in Joplin now have a way to receive free meals for the rest of the summer. Plus, food truck workers in Joplin look for ways to cool down while they're cooking up. And we look at the national and 4-state trend in traffic fatalities.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We have dangerous heat and the possibility for severe weather on the 4th. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Dow Quick. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, temperatures are starting to cool back off, 97 in Joplin, but we're also getting some pretty gusty winds up to about 28-30 miles per hour. Now that's going to continue into the overnight hours as we see some storms are moving in. And with these storms, some strong damaging wind gusts are expected. They already are seeing some damage out in Wichita. Now, temperatures feel like they're in the triple digits. We got 104 out in Webb City, 108 in Veneta. As we get into the overnight hours, it'll really cool off. And unfortunately, we are in that heat advisory until about 9 p.m. tonight. But like I said, with these storms moving in, it is going to cool us off at least for tomorrow. So we're really not seeing as high a threat for heat tomorrow. But we are expecting some severe storms to be pushing in, especially in our western counties and our northern counties. Those are going to be moving in for the next couple of hours. And I'll have more details in just a bit.
See you soon. Summer weather is creating even hotter kitchens in food trucks. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke with food truck workers about how they're managing the heat.
If you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen.
Now in the truck, it probably feels like 105, close to 110.
Food truck workers at Ghetto Tacos in Joplin say the heat is manageable as long as it's being pushed out.
We have some split units, so what we do, we push the heat out. We try to push it out, and then we run some fans and drinking a lot of water.
But it wasn't always that way.
We started under a tent, and we used to push our cooker, and we had a trailer where we pull it all down, and then. But when we started here, you know, in the heat, it was now there. We didn't. Only thing we had was fans, but it was really hot. And now looking back, it's like, man, it was all worth it.
Did they like some?
I do.
Now, 7 years later, Ghetto Tacos has a fleet of trucks and even a brick-and-mortar restaurant in Webb City with proper air conditioning.
Because now you kind of appreciate what you have now, and I do appreciate, and especially the customers. So yes, we went through winter, summer, and under a tent.
And the customers appreciate it. Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The Ghetto Tacos business was featured on the Food Network TV show Best Bite in Town in April. Joplin Public Schools are offering free breakfast and lunch at the Joplin Public Library every day through August 13th. They're going to serve lunches such as sandwiches and chips. Students have to be 18 or under and don't have to attend a Joplin school to qualify for the free meal. The goal is to help kids in need avoid food insecurity during the summer when students don't have access to daily school lunch.
For our budget at Joplin Schools, we've seen a 27% and a 10% increase over the last 2 years. So I know how challenging it is to squeak every penny out of the budget, and I think it's no different than for families.
Lunches at the Joplin Public Library will be served from 11 a.m. to 11:30 or while supplies last. One overturned truck and tons of taters. When this semi rolled on Interstate 49 near Carthage early today, the trailer burst, spilling its load, 41,000 pounds of frozen diced potatoes. The truck was traveling south when it left the road near Dry Fork Creek. The crash extended across the West Outer Road, blocking it completely. The driver was not seriously hurt. A new report shows traffic fatalities have increased by 25% nationwide over the past 10 years, but over the past 2 years, fatalities have dropped by 5%. In this area, Arkansas has seen the biggest drop in fatalities, down 12% from 2021 to 2023. In Oklahoma, they're down 9% over those 2 years. In Kansas, fatalities are down 8%, and in Missouri, just 2%. The Transportation research group TRIP highlights some efforts to reduce crashes, including educating drivers about dangerous habits, making vehicles safer, and improving roadway designs. The Oklahoma Attorney General weighs in on the implementation of the Bible in public school curriculum. That's coming up. And a domestic violence center in Southwest Missouri looks back on nearly 50 years of community service. A new twist in Oklahoma's Bibles in Schools debate. The Oklahoma State Attorney General says the state superintendent does not have the legal authority to decide what is taught in public schools. Now, last week, the state superintendent, Ryan Walter, said teachers must teach about the Bible. But now the AG's office says in an email, the superintendent does not have legal authority to decide content of curriculum and says Oklahoma law clearly enshrines local control. One Oklahoma school board member had this to say.
We're going to make decisions as a school board, not myself personally, but as a board, of what kind of curriculum and what kind of things students are going to be using in the classroom.
We're going to have a lot more about this ongoing story for you tonight on KOAM News at 10. Authorities say a police officer in Oklahoma is recovering after being shot today. Police arrived at a home in Oklahoma City to find a man holding a gun to someone's head. That man barricaded himself inside the home with 2 women and 3 children. Authorities say during a standoff, an officer was struck by gunfire from inside that home. Officers returned fire and the suspect was shot.
An officer was able to discharge his firearm, striking the suspect. The suspect was determined to be deceased here at the scene. Officers were able to go into the house and get everyone out that was inside that house, determined that they are all okay at this time.
The officer who was shot was taken to a nearby hospital and is doing well after undergoing surgery. In Springfield, the domestic violence hotline recently answered its 100,000th call. The hotline started back in 1978, and for nearly 50 years, it's been a vital resource for people in need. Chris Bryant has more from the Harmony House.
The hotline started in 1978, and over the last 46 years, those 100,000 calls averages more than 2,100 per year.
One of the messages we always convey is that if you or someone you know is going through an abusive situation, please call us. We want to talk to you. Even if shelter isn't what you need right now, that's just one piece of what Harmony House provides to the community. So having someone to talk to, having an advocate that's trained to listen and ask the right questions and help you through that situation, wherever you are in that situation, that's what we want people to do.
The hotline is answered 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Harmony House has seen a 30% increase in calls year after year.
And finding that way to connect that resource to others, whether it's having businesses promote that, it's promoted in schools, it's promoted on the internet now. I think with the evolution of obviously communication tools that are available to everybody, awareness has grown, and so the calls have grown. So I think you'd see much smaller numbers leading up to the last 10 to 15 years even.
Jared Alexander is the executive director of Harmony House. He says improvements with communication and advocacy have helped increase the public's knowledge of the hotline and connecting those in need with resources available.
We all know somebody that is going through this right now, and having the awareness of where the resources like Harmony House exist and how you can connect those people that you love to those resources, that's the most important piece.
Harmony House services and programs are free and confidential.
There's also a nationwide helpline for people dealing with domestic violence. You can call 1-800-799-7233. You see it on the screen. You can call anytime, any day, 24/7. A little bit later, the public turns out for another flag swap event in Joplin.
And we've got storms starting tonight, continuing for the next couple of days. We'll talk about it just after the break. Well, we've got some storms moving in, and we also had a very hot day today, but we'll go ahead and take a look outside at downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Just by looking at it, you wouldn't know that we had storms moving in tonight. Joplin may not even see any rain, but we're going to keep an eye on it over the next couple of hours. It is pretty windy out there. We got wind gusts up to about 30 miles per hour ahead of those storms. We also have still in effect a heat advisory until about 9 p.m. tonight, so only a couple more hours. Luckily, with the storms moving in tonight, we do cool off a little bit tomorrow. Now, we've got a line of storms which started to bow out. It is in a bit of a decay stage, but it did start to bow out, which means wind gusts could be up to 70 miles per hour. We have a lot of reports of wind damage, power lines down, tree damage into houses as well. A tent went down from a fireworks stand down in Wichita as well. So pretty strong damaging winds. Now, like I said, we had a bowing out segment, meaning those winds are strong, but it is starting to decay as it moves northeast. Now, just behind that, we have a few more isolated storms starting to fire up. Likely those will also turn into an MCS, which means they kind of organize together and it'll bow out as well, meaning main threat for all of these storms is going to be wind damage. Now, we saw about last week we had some damage from a windstorm, and we saw then it could be pretty damaging, so we'll keep an eye on those storms. We really are only in a low threat for severe weather today. Main focus is going to be tomorrow and Thursday. We've got a low to elevated risk tomorrow and an elevated risk on Thursday for the 4th of July. We'll go ahead and take a look at that future track. All right, so in the next 30 minutes or so, we do start to see this move into our western counties, and you can see a few isolated storms still firing up as well. That'll move in, but as it moves into our area, really falls apart. We've got more isolated showers rather than isolated thunderstorms in our area. And the main threat moves north in Kansas City and northeast after that. Then we move into the morning hours on Wednesday. We've got a few more isolated storms starting to fire back up along that cold front as it moves into the area. And then we've got more isolated showers, isolated thunderstorms throughout the afternoon hours on Wednesday. More rain starts to move in, and then we have more widespread thunderstorms and showers throughout the remainder of Wednesday into the overnight hours. Then we move into 10:30 p.m. on Wednesday. We've got that line of storms again, another boundary moving through, and then we clear out in the early morning hours on Thursday. We have a bit of a break, so if you want to get your celebrating done early, that would be the chance to do it from 8:30 a.m. until early afternoon. Then we'll move over a little bit further away, so we're going to take a different model run. We've got isolated showers starting to pop up around 2:30 p.m., but this could hold off throughout a little bit later in the day. Our main concern is going to be this line of storms. It is another cold front moving through on Thursday around 7 p.m. That's going to make its way through our area, moving southeast. Then we do see kind of track back in a few more showers possibly moving into the area. So we do have a threat for storms on Thursday. That cold front moving through will drop temperatures down to about mid-80s on Friday, and then we stay relatively cool for the next week or so.
I know that forecast will be adjusted as we get a bit closer, but right now the timing looks very unfortunate for the 4th of July.
It does a little bit. I mean, you can still celebrate during the day, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the storms hold off a little bit more.
We'll see. Thanks, Lindsay. Still ahead, NEO men's basketball holds day 2 of its youth camp, and highlights from this afternoon's battle between the Joplin Outlaws and Sherman Shadowcats. John Dale says those stories and more. It's coming up next.
It's been a big week for NEO men's basketball. Not only does the team host its youth camp, but the Golden Norsemen also saw one of their alumni get picked in the 2nd round of the NBA draft. Now, today's day 2 of the NEO men's basketball youth camp. The Golden Norsemen coaches and players lead a morning session for 6 through 11-year-olds, then an afternoon group of kids aged 12 to 16. It's a good opportunity for NEO's new class of incoming players to get to know the community that fills their stands for games.
You're a new face around here, so you have to get out here, you have to show yourself and let them know that you're here.
Everything's a two-way street with us, with our players, with the community. You got to give respect to get it type of thing, and we want the community to support us, so we're going to do our best to support them as well. Everything with us is a two-way street, like I just said. We want to show the support that we get because, for most of our games, the stands are filled, so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to help them out as well.
The Joplin Outlaws are in action early today at Joe Becker Stadium. They host the Sherman Shadowcats after losing 3 of the 4 home games against the Fort Smith Marshals over the weekend. 12:05 start time this afternoon. Joplin Outlaws at home this afternoon. They're taking on the Sherman Shadowcats, who entered today at last place in the Mid-America League. Xavier Fossbender gets the start on the mound for Joplin. He gets a strikeout swinging in the first, then another in the second. He'd finished the day with 7 of those. Outlaws bats come to life in the 5th. Andres Garcia gets things started with this deep fly over the head of the center fielder. That's going to roll all the way to the wall. 2-run score. Outlaws up 6-3 at that point. Later in the inning, Ravon Morgan at the plate. He singles into right field. Garcia's going to come in to score. It's now 7-3. Joplin leads, still in the bottom of the 5th. Same frame, a couple batters later. Andre Jackson hits a line drive into left field. Morgan and Cale Good both come in to score. The Outlaws get back in the win column at home. They beat Sherman 14-3, improve their record to 10-4 in games played at Joe Becker Stadium. A former Missouri Southern Lion will be representing his country in the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Rajendra Campbell will be competing for Team Jamaica in Paris after taking first place in the shot put at the Jamaican Olympic Trials. Now, Campbell was at Missouri Southern from 2019 to 2021. He's the indoor school record holder in shot put and ranks 2nd all-time in outdoor shot put and discus. Since graduating, he's gone on to win the 2023 Jamaican national title in shot put. Over to Major League Baseball, we'll start with the Cardinals. They're on the road against the Pirates, who are 1 spot behind them in the NL Central standings. Still early stages of this game as we come on the air. No score in the 3rd inning. I'll keep you updated on the score of this one throughout the night. Over to the American League, the Royals are at home against Tampa. Kansas City coming off a series victory over the AL Central leading Guardians. Rays are exactly 500, 42-42, which has them at 4th place in the AL East and 4 games back of the final wildcard spot currently held by the Royals. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. How you can prevent your home from being burgled while you're away on vacation. Plus, car dealerships nationwide struggle to recover after a cyber attack hit a key software system. And a new study looks at the dangers of taking daily aspirin, something a lot of senior citizens still do. Those stories, a lot more. It's coming up tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Arvest Bank in Joplin today served as the latest site for another flag swap event. Sponsored by KOAM and Fox 14, of course. Anyone with an old, tattered American flag could come out and swap it for a new one, absolutely free, just in time for Independence Day. The old flags, as always, will be retired according to the U.S. Flag Code. If you missed today's event, we'll mark your calendar. You should know the next one is going to take place on August 28th at Westco in Neosho, Missouri. Good turnout for the event today. Those flags go quickly. If you go to the next one, be sure and show up early. Chances for storms on the 4th of July, Lindsay.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it looks that way. We've got storm chances starting tonight and continuing intermittently all the way through Thursday night. Might interfere with 4th of July plans.
Final sports note.
I'll have more later tonight from NEO, talking about Jonathan Mogbo, who's going to be representing the Golden Norsemen in the NBA.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here on KOAM News at 10. Let's make it a great evening.
Captioning on